All right. So, in the last video, we went over how to use the zero product property. Now, let's apply the zero product property to a quadratic equation. The zero product property can only work if you can factor the quadratic equation. For example, let's start off small. And we're going to focus on the first main type of quadratic equations. So let's say quadratic equations when a is equal to 1. So because a is 1, when I write my quadratic equation, that's going to be in the form of x squared plus bx plus c, and that's equal to 0. So the main goal is you want to try to factor this quadratic trinomial. So when you factor, you're going to factor x squared. X squared can be factored into x times x. And then we want to find two numbers that multiply to c. So let's say numbers that multiply to c. Let's pick r and s. So r and s. And those same two numbers that multiply to c, when you add them, r plus s, they must equal to the b term. When you factor a quadratic trinomial, you have two linear factors being multiplied to each other and they're equal to 0. So that means we can use the zero product property. Now, watch this. Let's take an example. Let's say we have x squared minus, start off easy, x squared plus 6x plus 5 equal to 0. We want to find all the solutions to the quadratic equation. So I'm going to factor this quadratic trinomial. X squared can be factored into x times x. The printer in the background is getting on my nerves, to be honest. Then after that, we want to find two numbers that multiply to positive 5. And the two numbers that multiply to positive 5 is going to be 5 and 1. These two numbers that multiply to the positive 5 must also add to the positive 6. That is right here. Let's put my 5 here and my 1 here. Because 5 is positive, and that is the product, that means the numbers that we're multiplying must be the same sign. And because this is a positive 6 right here, that means both numbers must be positive. X plus 5, x plus 1 equals to 0. So then we have x plus 5 equals to 0. X plus 1 equals to 0. Solve for x. Subtract 5 from both sides. X equals to negative 5. Subtract 1 from both sides. X equals negative 1. And these are your two solutions for your quadratic equation. Let's try another one. We'll go over here. X squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Let's factor. X squared can be factored into x times x. I want to find two numbers that multiply to positive 12. Let's go over here. That is 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And when I add them, I must get negative 7. The only way to receive a positive number when you're multiplying, the signs must be the same. But because the b term is negative, that means both values that I'm going to find must be negative. So put a negative here and a negative here. Two numbers that will add to negative 7. I know that 3 plus 4 is positive 7, which means if I add negative 3 with negative 4, that should equal to negative 7. So my values will be x minus 3 times x minus 4. And the order doesn't matter how you place the numbers. Then use the zero product property. X minus 3 equals to 0. X minus 4 equals to 0. Add 3 to both sides. X equals positive 3. Add 4 to both sides. X equals positive 4. There you go. Those are your two solutions. Let's kind of separate this so you guys can see what I'm doing when I send you the PDF. Let's do 3 more of these. Actually, I lied to you. We're going to do 4 more because, you know, I'm that kind of a person. Let's suppose we have x squared minus 6x minus 27, and it's equal to 0. Let's factor. X squared can be factored into x times x. And we have to find two numbers that multiply to negative 27, and they must add to get negative 6. Numbers that multiply to 27, that's 1 and 27, that's 9 and 3. Now, because the numbers must multiply to negative 27, one of the factors must be negative, the other one must be positive. Because a negative times a positive is a negative number. In addition, because this is a negative 6 here, that means the larger factor must be negative. So when I look here at my factors, the larger factor must be negative. So 1 and negative 27, negative 9 and 3, because this is negative 27. And as you can see here, if I add negative 9 with positive 3, that's going to give us negative 6. So we know our numbers. X minus 9, x plus 3 equals to 0. X minus 9 equals to 0. X plus 3 equals to 0. Add 9 to both sides here. X equals to 9. That's our first solution. Minus 3. X equals to negative 3. And there you go. Let's change my variables. U squared plus 3u minus 28 equals to 0. We want to solve this by using the zero product property. So u is like x in this case. So I'm going to factor my u squared into u times u. Now I want to find two numbers that multiply to negative 28. And when you add them, you get positive 3u. Numbers that multiply to 28. Let's just start off easy first. 1 and 28. 2 times 14. 4 times 7. Because we are multiplying to get negative 28, one of the factors must be negative. The other factor must be positive. Because they're adding to positive 3, that means the bigger number has to be positive. The smaller number will be negative. So 28 will remain positive. The 1 becomes negative. 14 will remain positive. The 2 will become negative. 7 will remain positive. The 4 will become negative. And if you can see, if you add negative 4 with positive 7, negative 4 plus 7 is positive 3. So my two factors are going to be x minus 4, x plus 7, and that's equal to 0. Rather, u minus 4 times u plus 7. Bad habit. U minus 4 equals to 0. U plus 7 equals to 0. Add 4 to both sides. Subtract 7 over here. U equals to positive 4. U equals to negative 7. There you go. All right. Let's do 2 more, and then we'll do the question on the worksheet. Suppose we have the quadratic equation, but it's a little bit more different. Suppose if we had x squared plus 8x equals to 0. This is a quadratic equation because the highest exponent on my variable is 2. But in this case, I have no c term. This printer, man, is nonstop. But if you look at these two terms right here, they have a common factor. Both terms share an x. So I'm going to factor out an x from each of those terms. When I remove an x from out of x squared, I'm left with 1x inside the parentheses. Plus, if I remove the x from out of 8x, I'm left with positive 8. And then we can use the zero product property one more time. X is equal to 0. X plus 8 is equal to 0. This is already solved for. And we subtract 8 from both sides. X is equal to negative 8. All right, guys. So hopefully you understand that, because we're now going to do the one on the sheet. Scroll up time. Okay. Then it says solve for u. U squared minus 10u plus 21 equals to 0. We're going to solve that by using the zero product property. So we're going to factor u squared into u times u. And that's equal to 0. Find two numbers that multiply to positive 21. That's 1 and 21. That's 7 and 3. But these numbers must add to negative 10. In order to receive a positive product, you must multiply the numbers with the same signs. Because this 10 is negative, both of the factors, both of the numbers will be negative. If you add 7 and 3, that gives you positive 10, which means negative 7 plus negative 3 will equal to negative 10. And those are my two numbers that I'm going to use. So we have u minus 7 equals to 0, u minus 3 equals to 0. And we can see the solutions for this is u equals to 7, u equals to 3. All right, guys, that is it for the zero product property. Hopefully you guys liked it. You enjoyed the video. It was useful. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.